Russell Westbrook, as everyone knows by now, last night broke a record. And we're not even going to sit here and act like it's one of the most prestigious records in NBA history, right? But still, it is a record, Rob, that I think it's fair to say nobody in our lifetimes, Rob, in our lifetimes that we've been following and covering basketball, don't you think it's fair to say people thought that record would never be broken?
Yeah, it was a record that was never talked about because 40 years had passed before anybody had. You know what I mean? So, Chris, it was one of those where there was never even a conversation. I've been covering the league since 1987. I don't remember anybody remotely, Chris, saying, hey, he's close to averaging a triple-double. Not even once. Am I wrong?
Absolute.
Do you remember that? I don't remember that ever.
No, I mean, not even Magic, who, would get close with maybe 8 rebounds. Obviously, he could have the points and assists. But, yeah, no, you're right. LeBron never got that close. LeBron would average 7 assists, 7, 8 rebounds. So, yeah, you're right. And the talk was, could somebody do it? And Russell Westbrook, of course, 5 years ago, went ahead and became, the first player since Oscar Robertson to average a triple-double for a season, was rewarded with the MVP for it.
Some people tried to poo-poo that. I did not. I thought that was especially because the winning. They used to win big time at a higher rate when he got triple-doubles. It wasn't just a stat padding kind of thing at the end. They were winning games.
Rob, of his 182 triple-doubles, they've won 75% of those games.
That's what I'm saying.
That's incredible.
That's an incredible number, and it says a lot. It says that his numbers are meaningful.
So he broke last night Oscar Robertson's record of 181 triple-doubles in a career. Now Westbrook has 182. This will be his 4th season. It's already official. He could go scoreless, assistless, and reboundless for the rest of the season and still average a triple-double. It'll be his 4th year. He's the only player ever to average a triple-double for multiple seasons. And, Rob, he did it in fewer games than the Big O. So this is an incredible benchmark that he's hit, and props to him. He got flowers from everybody in the NBA, and I think it's well-deserved. So I give him credit. You're not incredibly impressed. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, but I'm not. It's not that. It's because I'm not ripping him. I've already given him his flowers. I was one of his biggest proponents, for the MVP that year, Chris, when some people were trying to poo-poo it. But I just think the record, nobody knew what the record was. That's the part that I think makes it different. If we knew, and I'm not trying to equate this to the all-time home run record, Chris, that Babe Ruth had, but we knew that number. It was 714, right? When Hank Aaron broke that record and hit his 715th, the world stopped. It was like, oh, my God. Like, Babe Ruth was always the home run king, and Hank Aaron broke this record. Nobody knew what the record was, and that's just because it was out of our minds. Only one guy was doing the triple-double, so it's just different. It's not like all these guys came close and failed because they couldn't do it. I don't know how many people
400 or something.
Right. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing like that gives us to where I stood up last night and I said, wow, I can't believe he did that. Like, I didn't get that. And that's not to diminish. I'm not trying to hate on him. I'm not. And anybody who thinks I am, go listen to when he won the MVP, Chris. I was as big of a supporter as anybody.
No,
I just didn't think it registered as big as maybe some people made it out to be.
There's only a few. What's bigger to me is him averaging a triple-double for 4 seasons. That's what's bigger to me. And yeah, this is impressive. But to your point, it's not one of those records that's talked about a lot. And so it's just not quite as – I agree that the individual moment wasn't as big. But he is now Mr. Triple-Double. And I think, Rob, this is huge for his legacy. I think a few things, and I want to get your opinion on these thoughts. One, he's now Mr. Triple Double, and that will be his legacy.
No,
For
that's
Oscar,
it. Absolutely.
Right? Oscar Robertson won a championship with Lou Alcindor, now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But over the last 40 years, Rob, whenever people think about Oscar Robertson, what do they think? He averaged a triple-double for a full season. Like that, It wasn't, he won a championship with Kareem. And so unless Westbrook somehow, which I don't think will happen, builds a dynasty, right? Unless he wins 2 in a row or 2 in 3 years or 3 in 4 years, something like that, his legacy will be the triple-double. And so that's fine. I don't think he'll win another ring. We'll see. He might. But I don't think he'll lead a team to a ring. And that leads me to this point, Rob. I think it is now arguable, very arguable, that he is the best player ever to never win a ring. Now, we'll see. Again, he may win one. But right now, I think it's arguable. Now, I think James Harden's better. There are those that think probably Karl Malone was better. Maybe Charles Barkley.
I was going to say Charles Barkley, Karl Malone would be higher on my list, even higher than James Harden at this point, Chris. And depending on what happens this year, obviously,
yeah, he's probably going to win one. I think
he's going to win probably
year,
right or next year. But Karl Malone, the second all-time leading scorer in the history of the NBA. What didn't he do? I mean, I don't. What he just didn't win, but he didn't. He did everything. I don't. He was a great player. Charles Barkley was a great player. Russell Westbrook. I don't know. I don't know if I could put him in that conversation as the greatest player who never won a ring. I still would pick Barkley or Malone over him.
I think I might go with Harden. Karl Malone, certainly arguable. But here's what I'd say. Those guys, obviously, none of them have won rings. Okay, so we're not really talking about winning. I mean, we can talk about getting to the finals, but they've all gotten to the finals, except even Harden got to the finals with OKC. But they've all gotten to the finals. And all I'm saying is this. I subjectively like Harden better. You like, I think, Malone better. Someone else may like Barkley or Stockton better. Steve Nash, whatever. The one objective thing you can look at are the stats. And the thing you can say about Westbrook that you can't say about the others is he did something that no one else in the history of basketball has. And I'm just saying that could sway some people. And Rob, you know this, Rob, as time goes on, unless, other players start averaging a triple-double for a season, as time goes on, the details will get blurry. So it won't be people, especially the younger generations, they won't focus on, at the end of games, he played the last 2 minutes like it was the middle of the second quarter. He didn't really play time and score. He shot a lot of threes, even though he wasn't a good shooter. And, all people will remember is, my goodness, this dude at 6'3" averaged a triple-double for 4 years.
Right.
And so that's when I think it could be a drumbeat where people say, you know what? And he has won at a significant level. He's been to the finals, been to 4 conference finals. He's won more playoff series than Chris Paul. And Chris Paul's played 15 years. Westbrook's played 12. He's won as many as Steve Nash, and Nash hasn't been to the finals. So he's won. He hasn't been like on scrub teams, where they don't even make the playoffs and blah, blah, blah. So I think there's that. And then, Rob, I'm going to leave you with this last thing. And I want your opinion on this before we go to the listeners. I believe, Rob, you can no longer tell the story of basketball without talking about Russell Westbrook. And I don't know that there's another player that never won a ring, depending on how short the story is, that you can say that about. Like, you got to get Westbrook in there now.
No, he makes the final edition of the NBA book. There's no way you can write around him. Prior to this, it was the Big O. The Big O would always be in the book.
Who has a ring too.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But he would be in the book, right. But I'm saying Yes, there's no way he could be left out no matter what his accomplishments, and it does separate him. But I think you're right. As time goes on, if other guys start doing triple doubles, it will change the way we look at it, and it won't be considered the same because of the gap between the Big O and him doing it for the first time. That's what was incredible, was that I don't know the exact years, Chris. Was it 30 or 40 years gap between when the Big O did it? And,
it was about 40, roughly.
Yeah, roughly. I mean, that's something that's incredible that hadn't been done for 40 years. It's kind of like when we talk about Ohtani. There hasn't been a guy who pitched and hit in the big league since Babe Ruth in the 20s, right? That's what puts him on a different plateau from anybody else.
And if it became commonplace, it wouldn't make
then it wouldn't be the same,
as big of a deal, right? Absolutely. So if Luka and Jokic look like the guys that might have a shot at doing it, if one of them or both of them does it for a few seasons, then it's not going to be as big of a deal. But if nobody else does it for the next 30, 40 years, I think Russell Westbrook's legacy will just continue to grow and grow and grow. And he may be viewed in 20 years as an even better player than he's viewed as right now. All right, is Russell Westbrook now the triple-double king? Is he now also the greatest player never to win a championship in NBA history? Your turn to weigh in.
All right, let's kick it off with Michael in Texas. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Michael?
What's up, fellas? How are we?
Doing
great.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Hey, so I'm a big Westbrook fan. I'm going to put it out there because he's got that dog in him, right? He's going to play hard all the time, just like Dennis Rodman did, just like Jordan did on both ends of the court. He was the best player on offense, best player on defense. I think Westbrook is second only to Patrick Ewing. You guys didn't mention Patrick Ewing,
who I am
not a fair one. That
is fair. We always leave Patrick out, and you're 100% right. I covered Patrick Ewing. That dude played as hard as anybody, and he was a great outside shooter for a big man.
He was a great player. He was a legitimately great player, no doubt.
Yeah, his issue was he played in the Jordan era, and that just hurt him, But Westbrook, guys, come on. Like, if somebody else could be averaging triple-doubles right now, they'd be doing it. The reason they ain't doing it is they're not good enough. Like,
that's why Luka, I say, I don't want to hear about somebody could do it if they tried, if they wanted to. No, you do it.
Right. I agree with you guys. One more thing, guys. The NBA, as both of you know, is now it's kind of plateaued where it's flatlined, where it's all 3-point shooting, it's all longer rebounds, which is why Westbrook couldn't do this in the 80s. Let's be honest. He's not going to be inside jumping with all the big men, getting 10 rebounds a game, but he will out hustle everybody to the ball, and that goes to what kind of person he is. And like I said, I'm a big fan. Thank you, fellas.
Yep, there are a lot more longer rebounds today because of all the jump shooting. And the floor is spread out so guards can get more rebounds. I agree with you on that.
There's no doubt about it, but other guys can be doing that too.
Right, exactly. I
agree with that, Chris, but that doesn't mean that other guys can't do it.
Absolutely.
Drew in New Jersey, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Drew?
So I got this. I think it's disrespectful to Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was a much better player.
Really?
Also,
why? Why? Hold on. You got to explain why, because I don't think so. But why do you say that?
Skill perspective, he could D you up from a skill perspective.
Not any better than Westbrook. He wasn't any better of a defensive player than Westbrook.
But can I ask you one thing? When Russell Westbrook was drafted out of college, what was he known for? He was Defensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12.
Right.
But all the talk I hear is he gives maximum effort all the time. Okay, so if he does that, how come he doesn't play defense?
His defense is you know how many guys. Iverson didn't play defense either. You sitting here talking about Allen Iverson was a great defender. He got steals because he was so quick and all that, but he didn't play defense. Westbrook's defense is as good as Iverson's.
Could Russell Westbrook drag that AI team, the same exact team, to the finals like AI did it?
I believe if he had Larry Brown to build a team around him perfectly fit for him, I think he could. I really do. That's not to diss AI. They're both great. But, I hear you. I just wanted to hear you make that argument.
No, right. If you're going to pick somebody, just make a case. That's all. There's no right or wrong answer. Right. We talk about it all the time, but you got to make a convincing case and state your facts and why you came up to that answer, right? That's all we want to hear. How'd you get there?